9 o'clock. Thanks so much, Brian.
Hi, I'm Bryanton, and you're listening to CHMA.
Hi, I'm Annabelle, and you're listening to CHMA.
Hello, I'm Braydon Kelly, and you're listening to CHMA Radio 106.9 FM, Sackville, New Brunswick.
The time is 9 o'clock, and you're listening to CHMA 106.9 FM in Sackville, New Brunswick.
And now it's time for your CHMA News. We're broadcasting from Sackville, New Brunswick, the heart of the Maritimes and the traditional and unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq people. Coming up in the next 15 minutes, we'll have your local news, Atlantic update, weather, sports update, and some community announcements.
Hello, and welcome to CHMA's local news at 106.9 FM and CHMAFM.com. We are broadcasting from Sackville, New Brunswick, the heart of the Maritimes, on the traditional and unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq people. I'm Theodore Ramarak. Today is Thursday, August 20th. In the news today, Ricky Francis will perform at Bill Johnson Memorial Park tonight for the final concert in the park of the summer. The free concert starts at 6:30 p.m. and runs until 8 p.m. Francis is a New Brunswick singer-songwriter who performs country and roots music. The Sackville Summer Fundraiser is happening this Saturday at Beach Hill Park. The event starts at 3 p.m. with family activities and a fundraising barbecue run by the Sackville Swim Club. At 7 p.m., the J.C. White Band and Mike Maya will take the stage for an outdoor concert. The concert is for people 19 and older, and tickets are $15 and include a reusable beer mug. Money raised for the event will go toward accessibility improvements at the Tantramar Veterans Memorial Civic Center. And now, CHMA spoke with Tantramar Deputy Mayor Josh Gogan about what came out of Council's meeting with Premier Susan Holt, including new discussions around the proposed Central Village gas plant. The proposed gas plant near Centre Village was one of about a dozen local issues Tantramar Council brought directly to Premier Susan Holt during a meeting on Wednesday. Deputy Mayor Josh Gogan says councillors had about 45 minutes with the Premier and spent roughly 5 or 6 minutes discussing the plant. Council questioned how the project could affect the surrounding area, including the pressure construction could put on local roads.
We did have a range of topics, which the gas plant was one of them. We did ask them about on the local area, the impact on the roads. The fact that the proponent has said that they're going to be trucking some of the effluents off-site to possibly Nova Scotia.
Gogan says council questioned whether moving the wastewater across the provincial border would have any effect on the project's environmental impact assessment. According to Gogan, Holt said it generally would not, but he says the Premier also told council to expect more information soon.
The Department of Environment is going to be reaching out to the Mayor in the next few days with an update on the development on the EIA. So that's going to be interesting.
The meeting comes after months of organized opposition to the 500 megawatt gas and diesel generating station proposed near Centre Village. Protesters have repeatedly demonstrated in Sackville, including at Exit 504 overpass last month. Opponents have raised concerns about the project's environmental factors and argue the province should pursue alternatives to another fossil fuel generating station. Tantramar Council has also formally opposed the project. Gogan says Councillor Kristen LeBlanc came to Wednesday's meeting with 2 full pages of questions about the plant. Among the issues raised were whether Route 940 could handle industrial traffic during construction, and whether local emergency services would have the resources to respond to a serious incident at the facility.
Route 940 is definitely not suited for industrial traffic that's going to be driving over there to build the plant. And the other main concern was adequate services within Tantramar.
Gogan says Holt took notes but did not have firm answers to all of Council's questions. Council plans to send unanswered questions to the Premier's office for follow-up. But the gas plant was only one item on a crowded agenda. Goguen says council also raised the province's proposed tolls near New Brunswick-Nova Scotia borders. He says council has argued that communities on either side of the border are closely connected and questions what a toll could mean for people traveling between them and for Tantramar's economy.
We also brought up the fact that when COVID shut down the border, it was hard on a lot of people's mental health. And if families are going to have to pay, I don't know, I'm throwing out a number here, $8 to cross the toll, they're not going to want to visit as much.
Goguen says Holt told the council the province had considered other locations for the toll and determined the proposed site was the best suited. He says possible exemptions or passes were also discussed. Council raised a number of other local concerns, including Peck's Cove Bridge, property assessments, Route 16 safety, changes to provincial veterinarian services, and transportation infrastructure around Dorchester. Goguen says council was told the Peaks Cove Bridge project is about 80% through the design process, with work targeted for completion by the end of the year. Despite the number of issues competing for time, Goguen says he was generally satisfied with the meeting.
So yeah, overall it was a great meeting. There's still a lot of concerns that we had, but with the time frame, I feel like we had our priorities that we wanted to talk about, and we got some answers.
But on the gas plant itself, Goguen does not believe council has many avenues left to try to stop the project. He says a significant development in the environmental assessment could still affect whether it goes ahead.
If I'm going to be truthful here, the only thing is if there is something major that happens with the EIA, but I doubt it. EIAs are put in place to put restrictions. So it's going to come down to if the EIA comes back with some restrictions that the company does not want to deal with.
Goguen says council has done what it can for now, but will continue raising concerns and advocating for people living around the proposed site. For CHMA, I'm Theodore Bramarack.
I'm Clinton Davis with more local CHMA news. The Greater Dorchester Moving Forward Cooperative is inviting residents out for free poutine, conversation, and its annual general meeting Thursday evening. Board member Gary Chafe said that the event starts at 6 p.m. at 8 Station Road in Dorchester with food served before the cooperative gets down to business. I spoke with Gary about the event.
So come on down tonight, 6 o'clock to 8 Station Road in beautiful Dorchester, New Brunswick. We are going to have some great food happening. We're going to have some great speeches, and there's rumor that there's going to be some deluxe toppings that are coming on for the poutines that are going to be served hot and fresh starting at 6.
After the meal, the cooperative will hold its AGM, giving residents a chance to learn more about its work and ways to get involved. Chafe says that includes community initiatives involving food, trails, and activities for people of different ages. Childcare will even be available during the event.
Whether you're passionate about food, about trails, about joining things in the community for people of all ages, you know, we're a community-based organization that's always trying to give back. We have some exciting things, again, that are happening tomorrow, and we also have childcare.
The free poutine starts at 6 at Station Road, with the annual general meeting getting underway shortly afterward. And now we're going to talk about something pretty important. Water. Well, last year's drought left more Tantramar residents struggling with dry private wells. It's part of the overall pressure on water supplies across southeastern New Brunswick. Tantramar's MLA Megan Mitten's office asked residents to report what they were experiencing. Recently, I spoke with Megan Mitten, and she went over how some residents were and still are struggling with basic needs.
Last year, I did have some people reaching out to my office and saying that, yeah, their wells had run dry and they were struggling to, sort of live day to day. Like, how do you cook and shower and survive? And so we were responding to that, and I did put a call out, and we did hear from some people.
But even with the call for reports, Mitten strongly believes that her office likely didn't capture even close to everyone affected. Many New Brunswickers rely on private wells and deal with water shortages themselves, sometimes with help from family or neighbors. Mitten says government needs to play a greater role.
Many people who are on private wells sort of take care of it for themselves and I think try to come up with solutions. Maybe they have family or neighbors that they can rely on. I would say that the provincial government does need to step up in terms of supporting individual well owners in planning for this issue and supporting municipalities who are also dealing with having to ask their residents to conserve water.
And while municipalities are asking residents to conserve water, the provincial government itself is dealing with questions of whether or not to allow a new gas plant to be built in Tantramar, which could consume up to 7 million liters of drinkable water daily, as well as other data centers throughout the province. There are many stories about that on our website at chmafm.com, and you can hear more about that there. But according to Mitten, the province is also currently working on changes to the Clean Water Act. Now, the Clean Water Act is a regulation that came into play in New Brunswick between 1989 and 1990. However, in late 2025, the Department of Environment and Local Government launched public consultations to review and update the aging framework. The legislation governs the protection of drinking water, wetlands, and other water resources in New Brunswick, and Mitten took part in the legislative review. She says one issue repeatedly emerged from the testimony: protecting water isn't only about keeping it clean.
Through that review, one of the things that became clear with the witnesses that came into committee was it's not just the quality of the water, but the quantity of the water that the government needs to be looking at the whole watershed when decisions are being made. And so I think that is a really important thing that I want to see when the government brings the Clean Water Act, a revised version, forward.
Now, on the 106 in Tantramar, right on the borderline between Memramcook and Tantramar, on a daily basis, residents can be seen filling up water jugs at a local spring right by the highway. For people relying on private wells, water quantity can become a very personal concern. Earlier this week, I spoke with John Haney from Wood Point, New Brunswick, about the drought and how it affected maple trees in the region, but by the end of that conversation, he too was talking about his well. He said he knows what it's like to lose access to groundwater.
My well ran dry in 2017, had to drill a new well, so I'm always anxious about water. I'm much happier if it rains too much than if it doesn't rain enough. You know, like I want to fill that water table up. I want everyone's gardens to grow and the forest to be healthy. And I worry about forest fires as much as anybody.
And of course, water is one of the primary ways we put out those forest fires that have raged across New Brunswick this year. Concerns like this were also reflected in the province's consultation on changes to the Clean Water Act. In July of this year, the province released its report on, quote-unquote, what it heard. In it, it says that water quantity, support for private well owners, watershed management, and planning for drought and climate change were among the issues raised. But revised legislation has not been introduced. Mitten says that will be the point when it will become clear which recommendations government intends to adopt.
The government has put out sort of what we heard reports, but legislation hasn't come forward yet. And so that will really be where the rubber hits the road and where we'll see if they have adopted some of the recommendations that came from experts, that came from stakeholders and rights holders.
So the question of how much water is available could become increasingly important as New Brunswick considers new industrial developments. Mitten says decisions should consider the demands being placed on an entire watershed, including what happens downstream.
Looking at the quantity of water and looking at a watershed perspective when they're considering these things. For example, should we be having large industrial users of water? AI data centers are coming to mind. Is that how we want to be using our water, and what will the impact be downstream?
Indeed, the province says changes to the Clean Water Act are expected to be introduced next spring. Until then, exactly how New Brunswick will address water quantity, private wells, and future droughts in law remains to be seen. Has your well run dry, and what are your thoughts in water supplies here in Tantramar? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us an email at news@chmafm.com. With your local news here in Tantramar, I'm Clinton Davis.
ਹੈਲੋ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰਸ਼ਰਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ CHMA.
And now for your CHMA Atlantic update. Nova Scotia Power officials say they don't know why a digital copy of almost all customer information collected over 3 decades was not automatically deleted as intended. Banking information, social insurance numbers, and other data belonging to hundreds of thousands of customers was assessed in a March 2025 cyber attack on the company. Executive Blake Williams said Monday that Nova Scotia Power has mechanisms to automatically delete certain data. That didn't happen in this case, and he said the utility isn't sure why. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston is headed to Alberta this week to talk with energy executives. Houston plans to deliver a speech to the Canadian Energy Executive Association's annual conference on Thursday. The 3-day conference is being held in Banff. Houston's office confirmed he will be traveling to the conference with his Chief of Staff, Nicole LaFosse Parker. A traffic stop in Corner Brook, Newfoundland has led to a charge of intimate partner violence. The Royal Newfoundland Constabulary says it pulled over a 33-year-old man around 4 p.m. Monday with no insurance. The vehicle was seized, and the female passenger of the vehicle approached officers saying the driver had assaulted her the day before. The man was arrested for assault, forcible confinement, and violence against an intimate partner. Police in Moncton say they're still trying to find a 66-year-old woman 4 years after she went missing. Angela Bro was last seen on August 6, 2022 at an Elmwood Drive residence and was reported missing about a week later. The next month, search and rescue teams scoured the area. She's about 5'9", 160 pounds, with dark hair and brown eyes. The town of New Glasgow in central Nova Scotia is calling on the provincial government to shut down a local homeless shelter. Town Council passed a unanimous motion Monday asking the province to shut down the North Star shelter immediately. The town issued a statement saying the emergency shelter is not addressing the complex needs of people experiencing chronic homelessness and addictions. The town says it wants to work with the province to make sure people leaving the shelter receive support for finding housing and dealing with mental health and addictions. The RCMP in Prince Edward Island say the deaths of 2 people involved in a shooting last August are both being investigated as homicides. The Mounties say their investigation into the deaths in Urbanville has yet to be completed. Investigators say that on August 8th of last year, officers responding to a report of shots fired found a 35-year-old man wounded by gunfire who later died at the scene. As well, police have confirmed for the first time that a 50-year-old woman who later died in hospital is also believed to be the victim of a homicide. And that has been your CHMA Atlantic update.
Hey, this is Tantramar Heritage Trust, and you're listening to CHMA.
And now for the weather. Today, mainly sunny with fog patches dissipating in the morning, high of 26, humidex of 33, and UV index of 7 or high. At night, increasing cloudiness early in the evening with a 60% chance of showers late in the evening and overnight, and as well fog patches overnight with a low of 16. On Friday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 25. At night, cloudy periods with a low of 12. On Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 24. Then at night, showers with a low of 16. On Sunday, showers with a high of 22. At night, showers with a low of 20. On Monday, cloudy with a high of 23. At night, cloudy periods with a low of 14. Finally, on Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 21. And that has been the weather.
This is Heidi Lynn from East Track Mine Radio, and you're listening to CHMA.
And here's Brian Nielsen with your CHMA Sports Update.
Last night in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Brewers tallied 22 hits, resulting in 22 runs, shutting out the Seattle Mariners 22-0 for tying the largest shutout margin of victory in Major League Baseball history. Your Toronto Blue Jays doubled up the Tampa Bay Rays 10-5 down in Florida. Your San Diego Padres, on the strength of two Fernando Tatis Jr. home runs, defeat the New York Mets in Citi Field 5-2. Tatis also robs Francisco Lindor of a grand slam in the bottom of the first to maintain the Padres' victory. Yankees come back to beat the Orioles 3-1 in Baltimore. It was Pirates with a 4-1 victory over the Detroit Tigers. Guardians all over the Giants, 8-1 final in that one. Cardinals shut out the Reds on the road 3-0. It was the Phillies getting past the wild card hopeful Miami Marlins 6-4. Red Sox with a 9-4 victory over the D-backs to get back on the winning side of the ledger. It was a one-run victory for the Royals over the Athletics at home, 4-3 final in Kansas City. Minnesota beats Atlanta 4-1. It was the Texas Rangers shutting out the Washington Nationals 5-0. The Chi Cubs beat the Chi Sox 4-3 victory in Wrigley Field. For the National League squad, it was the Los Angeles Angels with a 3-1 victory over the Houston Astros to slow down the Astros' march to the AL West title. And finally, it was a one-run victory for the Los Angeles Dodgers over the Colorado Rockies, 7-6. 2 weeks left in the WNBA season saw the Connecticut Sun defeat the Los Angeles Sparks, 85-77. Indiana Fever, they hold off a spirited comeback attempt by the Toronto Tempo in Toronto, 101-95 final in that one. It was the Sky over the Liberty, 93-86 in Chicago, and it was the Atlanta Dream, the dominant performance over the Las Vegas Aces, 97-82. In Cincinnati Open action, your winners include Thomas Fritz, Benjamin Nakashima, Felix Auger-Aliassime, and Tiafoe. In the women's side, it was Madison Keys, Coco Gauff, Kostiak, and, of course, Ariana Sabalenka advancing to the next round of the Cincinnati Open.
And that was Brian Nielsen with your CHMA Sports Update. Be sure to tune in every morning at 8:45 to hear the sports commentary live. Otherwise, it will also air with your CHMA news at 9 a.m., 12 p.m., and 5 p.m.
Hello, this is James Goddard from Egyptian Cotton Orchestra, and you're listening to CHMA 106.9 FM in Sackville, New Brunswick.
And now for what's happening in your community. Join Tantramar Active Living and Culture as they celebrate another amazing summer with the End of Summer Bash. On Friday, August 21st, the Summer Bash will take place from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Bill Johnston Memorial Park with an afternoon of fun featuring a mega foam party, music, a barbecue, and more. Bring your family and friends as the summer draws to a close. They can't wait to celebrate with you. Once again, this is happening Friday, August 21st at the Bill Johnston Memorial Park from 1 to 3 p.m. Get your best pair of jorts on and come rock out at Ducky's this Friday, August 21st with The Handman. You can expect some great alt-rock originals and covers to make your Friday night special. The music starts at 8 p.m. and the cover cost is $10 or pay what you can. Once again, this is Jorts Night with The Handman on August 21st at 8 p.m. at Ducky's. Join Tantramar Active Living and Culture for the Sackville Summer Fundraiser. Spend the afternoon at Beach Hill Park on August 22nd with family-friendly games, a barbecue, slip and slides, and fun for all ages from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. For those 19 and up, there will also be an outdoor concert from 7 to 11 p.m. featuring beer and great local music. Concert tickets are just $15 and include a reusable commemorative beer mug. All proceeds will support accessibility improvements at the Tantramar Veterans Memorial Civic Center. Gather your friends, bring your lawn chair, and help make a difference while enjoying a great day of summer fun. Join Duckies on August 29th for a killer lineup of shows starting at 8 p.m. Puffin is straight out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, and promises a loud, high-energy set. Devil's Punch Bowl will also be playing, and the doors open at 7 p.m. Admission is $15 or pay what you can. And that's what's happening in your community.
And that was your CHMA News. Please visit www.chmafm.com for more news and to sign up for our email newsletter. Funding is provided by our monthly sustainers, the Community Radio Fund of Canada, and the Municipality of Tantramar's Community Development Grant. If you have a story idea or would like to include an announcement, please write us at news@chmafm.com.
This is Ruben Majuthia, the host of the Blue Enchilada on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on CHMA.
If you're down and out and you feel real high.
Hey guys, you are listening to CHMA 106.9 FM in Sackville, New Brunswick, voice of the marshes. I'm Maya Noel, and this is the Late Morning Show. Today is Thursday, August 20th, and I hope you guys are having a great morning so far. I'm going to jump ahead into some music right away. First up, we have Robinson Kirby with Apartment on the Hill, as well as Waria with Left My Car. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the music.